I'm Muzz and I'm an actor.
Brilliant. Were you born in the UK, Muzz?
I was born in Burnley, Lancashire, and I've still got my dodgy accent.
It's great. Oh, is that where you grew up as well?
Yeah. Well, I say Burnley because everyone from London has no idea about the north of England, so I just generalise. But I'm actually, so I was born in Burnley, but I lived in a town called Nelson for most of my life. And Nelson is where, if you've ever heard of an actor called John Sim or Lee Ingleby, John Sim's quite famous, or Lee Ingleby, they were from Nelson. They went to my high school.
Brilliant.
So that was my claim to fame.
And what was it like growing up there?
Horrible. Awful. The Burnley and Nelson and that sort of area is synonymous with the BNP. In 2001, we had the race riots,
Of course you did.
which was just horrific. We did, Oldham did, Bradford did. That was horrible. And the BNP have had a stranglehold over the whole of the Northwest for as long as I can remember, probably about 15 years now. To the point where Nick Griffin is now the member of European Parliament for the northwest of England. So it was always rough. You know, it's the cultural divide, the racial divide was always Pakistani and white English, with a small minority of Bengali, one probably token Chinese family, and they own the local Chinese chippy, and one token black family. Do you know what I mean? But now it's changed. Now there's more Polish people and Lithuanians, but the bulk of it is still Asian and whites, and the tension and the friction there is palpable. It's always going to be evident, and that's sad, and it's never going to go away.
And how was that manifested in your upbringing?
I had a lot of racism. I mean, you can just Google it, I suppose. But I used to go out with a girl called Hannah, and we were together for 8 years. She was white, I was Asian, and we just got loads of abuse. She got called, can I swear on tape? Nod for yes, yeah, okay, fine. She got called a packy shagger quite a lot, and we would walk through the streets of Nelson, to the streets of Cone, the next town, and she got called a packy shagger a lot, and I got called all sorts, told to go back to my own country, even though I was born in this country. But by the same token, I got abused by loads of Asian guys. There was one instance, I'll be very brief because this is quite a short interview, about me being with her on Valentine's Day in a bus station.
Take your time, don't feel
Okay, it was Valentine's Day. Me and Hannah were in a bus station and we were waiting for the bus. It was her last bus back to Trojan, back to Corn. And a big group of 6 or 7 Asian lads came into the bus shelter, and they just sort of started doing that and sort of going, all right, mate, how's it going? You're right, love, you're right. And I was like, look, mate, just please, I'm just trying to drop my bird off at home. And he's like, oh yeah, how's it going? That, what's up, cuz, what's up? And I'm there going, oh Jesus. So they literally squared up to me, right? And I stood up and I said, look, mate, could you just please back off? Like, I'm just trying to take her home, man. Come on, what are you trying to do? The next thing you know, they start calling me all sorts. They start calling her all sorts. They push her to the floor and they just beat me senseless. And they beat me senseless for about a good 5 minutes until ironically, a group of white lads came over and shouted, and then the Asian guys went off. By this point, I had blood everywhere. Hannah was screaming her eyes out, and I just phoned up my brother and said, could you just come and help? I've been attacked. Can you drop Hannah off home and just take me to the doctors or to the hospital? And that was one of my abiding memories from growing up there. So that just gives you a taste of what it's like. It's really quite fractious. So yeah, I'll stop now.
No, thank you for being, as honest as you've been, but that's certainly quite a unique upbringing. And I say unique, obviously it's not very unique in the northwest of England. No. But it's unique within the sector of theatre practitioners living in London. So how is it that you got from that upbringing into being involved in South Asian theatre and theatre widely? Of course you work in multiple sectors. How is it that happened?
It all kicked off in high school. Quite by fluke, actually. I mean, I was a class clown at school, as you can probably tell. And I used to mess about, and I didn't know what to do. And the BBC came to our school and filmed an episode of of Hetty Wainthropp Investigates. Now that was a TV series with Patricia Routledge and Dominic Monaghan, him from Lost. And they filmed one episode in our school, and I was like, oh yeah, this is cool, man, innit? This is wicked. And the school was like, would any kids like to be involved in it? I was like, yeah, I'd like to do it. So I did it. I was only a pupil. I think I had one line in it. It was 1997. I had one line in it. I did it, but I was just seduced, man. I was seduced by the cameras and the lights and the booms and the clipper boards. And I was like, this is well cool. I want to do this, and I want to be famous. So that's what started my love affair for acting. And then at school, I did a couple of little plays with Asian characters and old Asian characters. Then I left, went to college, did performing arts in Accrington, Rosendale College. Took a year out, joined the Contact Theatre in Manchester for a year, did the Young Actors Company with them. Thought, okay, I could possibly do this for a living. And then I auditioned for drama school, didn't get in. Auditioned for 10 places, mum paid all my audition fees, didn't get in. Thanks, guys. Wasted, 200 cash wasted down the toilet. A year later, I auditioned again, and this time I got in. And woo, here I am today.
Where did you go?
I went to the Webber Douglas Academy of Dramatic Art, which is no longer with us. But that was quite a renowned drama school for actors, for good actors, you know, Stephen Burkhoff, Angela Lansbury, Minnie Driver. And pretty much every actor from EastEnders went to my drama school, and it was a really good school. It's just very tough.
Brilliant. Was that Hetty Wainthropp Investigates, that episode? Would you say that was the ignition?
Yeah.
Was that the initial inspiration?
Definitely, it was definitely the catalyst, because before that I didn't have a clue. You know, growing up north, I guess growing up anywhere, but mainly up north I find, and especially in the Asian community, people are scared to follow their dreams. People are scared to pursue their real desires because you get frowned upon by your parents, as do most cultures and families. And it was quite tricky for me because I suppose I'll probably tell you how I got into it. I did high school, and then after high school, because I got OK GCSEs, I mean OK, I didn't get A stars, I wasn't that clever, but OK GCSEs, and then my parents said, go to college and do A-levels. So I was like, oh, but I really want to go to Accrington and do performing arts. They said, no, you're going to go and do A-levels. You're going to do A-levels, otherwise we'll kill you. So I had no choice, really. You know, it was either that or be buried 6 feet under. So I did A-levels. I did English Media Theatre Studies for 4 weeks. After 4 weeks, I was like, this isn't for me. I'm far too extrovert for this place. So I left that course, left that college, secretly enrolled onto the performing arts course and commuted every single day to Rawtenstall for a month and didn't tell my parents. And I just couldn't really. But then after about a month or a month and a half, then I told my parents that I'd left college, and they hit the roof. Dad went apeshit, you know, as most parents do. You know, a few clips around the ear, a few black eyes later. It wasn't that bad. Please don't call social services. And then yeah, I sort of eventually. Mum was like, you know, if that's what you want to do, that's fine. Dad was like, you're going to do computers, and Mum was like, just let him do it. And if he fails, we'll say we told you so, and he can follow our dream. Turns out I did all right, so I'm okay.
Cool, brilliant. And what's your journey been like since then? Since you've been working professionally?
Good. It's been difficult, but it's been a struggle. I mean, acting's a struggle, full stop, for anyone. Drama school was very hard for me because I had a huge culture shock moving to London, where I'm from Burnley, I'm from a Pakistani community, I'm a Muslim background, I'm what would probably be described as a chav, you know, in today's speak. Moving to South Kensington, darling, which was very posh. Lots of big white houses, Porsches, Ferraris, Chihuahuas, darling. So going from that to that, straight off the back, my head was, I couldn't take it. I didn't understand it. I couldn't understand London. And the fact that, you know, coming from a very Asian and white area up north, and moving to London, which is a melting pot of every culture you can imagine, my brain went into meltdown. I couldn't get it. I didn't understand it. People treated me differently because they didn't understand this guy who talked like that, a little bit like that. You know what I mean? Like what? Exactly. Just then, you didn't understand a word that I said, and people didn't understand what I was like. So I didn't get London. I didn't get drama school. at drama school they tried to correct you as a human being. Stand up straight, speak properly. I am speaking properly. This is my accent. What's wrong with you? People just were a bit weird. And so I shut down at drama school. I just thought, I can't do this. This is really hard. I wanted to leave, but there's always a voice in the back of my head saying, Muzz, you've come all this far. You've come all the way from Burner. You can't leave now. Do you know what I mean? It'll be an embarrassment to your community if you walk back going, oh, I couldn't understand London. I didn't take it. So that was it really. But that's the journey. And then after, sorry, I keep rambling. I should stop
No,
rambling.
please.
Good job, you can edit it. And then after this, after drama school, I started acting. I did bits of TIE here and there. That was okay. And then did bits for small theatre companies. And it was a weird sensation getting paid for doing acting because it's weird. Because after doing it for free at college, at school, you know, in my youth theatre group, for somebody to go, hiya, we'd like to employ you as an Asian character and we'd like to give you £300 a week for 4 weeks. I'm like, I'd do it for free. You know, just give me food and water. That's all I want. And that was it really. So my first gig was doing a play with kids up and down the country when I left drama school. That was the start of it anyway.
What does being British South Asian mean to you?
It's just that, really. Being British and from the south of Asia, you know, I mean, that's such a broad term. You know, it's like calling people who are from Chinese or Japan Oriental. It's like, yes, we're South Asian, but we're Pakistani or we're Bengali or we're Indian. And you know, the whole Asian term, it's got so much stigma attached to it. It's like it was coined, I think, by the British to group together us people. But you know, we've got different identities. You know, I am Asian, yes, because you said I am. I am South Asian, yes, because you said I am. But I'm succinctly Pakistani. That's what I am, and that's where I'm from. So, you know, yes, British South Asian is a accurate term, but it's not the bullseye. It's probably there. Do you know what I mean? Asians like in the outer hemisphere. British South Asian is getting closer, but you've hit the bullseye when you say he's Pakistani.
And would you characterise some of the work you've done as British South Asian?
A lot of it is, yeah. A lot of it is. I mean, a lot of the work that I do is very race specific. You know, because it just is. So you know, I generally play Asian lads or a person from India. You know, that's generally the work that I do. I don't mind it because you sort of expect that in this business. You know, if they want a black person to play a drug dealer or a mugger, they'll get a black person and they'll put a hoodie on him, and straight away that adheres to that stereotype. You know, for me, it's kebab shop owners, it's terrorists. It's, you know, it's chavs. And occasionally you'll get casting directors who'll cast you in non-race specific stuff, or stuff that's slightly out of your race. So sometimes I do get cast as an Egyptian or as a Middle Eastern. But sometimes it'll just be, I'm just called Dave, and that's a relief.
Yeah.
So yeah, but it's a mixture, but it's generally mainly all British Asian stuff that I do.
Right. Do you think then that it's still? I mean, obviously, you know, you get cast in, and you work in multiple sectors. You did something quite interesting in Liverpool recently as well with Kim Cattrall, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, as you say, you worked a lot with, you know, within the kind of British South Asian sector as a sub-industry that we have in theatre. Do you think it's still useful to consider British South Asian theatre as something that's distinct?
Yeah, because it is distinct, and it does have its place. It really has its place, because it's still a world that hasn't really been explored properly, especially the modern British Asian world hasn't been explored in theatre or in film or in television properly, I don't think. And you know, if you think back to the history of the two great Asian theatre companies, Tara Arts and Tamasha, and more recently Carly, they've all explored, especially Tara Arts. They've always explored the journey from India, the journey from Pakistan, the Ramayana, the Kama Sutra, all that stuff that's days way before I was born. They've done all that. Tamasha are slowly starting to probe the modern Asian life, and that's really good, and that's really essential, and it's crucial because there's so much stuff that nobody knows yet. You know, stuff that goes on in our world, in our homes, in our front rooms that you've not got a clue about. And it's actually, it's not too far removed from the kind of stuff you see in EastEnders or Coronation Street. Well, actually, not Coronation Street, EastEnders, because that's quite out there, isn't it? You know, and it's just, there's so much, it's such a big, huge kind of worms for us. There's so much stuff that we've gone through that you wouldn't even have a clue about, but no one's got the bollocks to write about it yet because they don't think they're allowed to. And only recently I did a play with a bio-writer called Ishidin, and the play was called Snookered with Tamasha. And you know what? It was a breath of fresh air. It was just about 5 lads, Muslim lads, in a pub, hello, getting pissed, playing pool. That was the premise, and it was just about them doing that and all the stuff that came out when you drink alcohol, you get inebriated, and all the stuff that comes out. And you know what, it was so refreshing because it wasn't about a Bollywood, you know, it wasn't about arranged marriages. It was just about these 5 lads that kind of shit their face on a daily basis in Britain now. Thank you very much. Done. And that's a slice of life. And when the tabloids and the broadsheets, when they saw that, they were like, what a great insight into the world of the Asian man. You know, it didn't have anything to do with terrorism either, because everyone thinks, oh yeah, the modern Asian today is so he's definitely a closet terrorist. He must be reading the Quran for satanic reasons. Really, he's just out there playing pool and getting pissed actually, and hoping to find some skirt. That's it.
So with all the British South Asian theatre practitioners that are existing, do you think there is a common thread between the stories that they're all trying to tell or the audiences they're seeking to reach? Do you think there's something that binds them?
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously the obvious bond is the fact that they're all Asian or Pakistani or Indian stories, full stop, and each has a different strand. So you know, so Tao Arts will always have the strand of let's tell things of how they were, or let's adapt classics and turn them into something that's relevant to the Indian person or the Pakistani person. Tamash have always championed a lot of. And actually, Rifco Arts, who I've not mentioned yet, they really champion the Bollywood side of things, musicals, the story of modern British Asian music. Tamasha have always had their strand is modern Asian life. You know, East is East, huge thing that they did, and a lot of their stuff is always of the modern Asian diaspora and that sort of story. And Carly again, but theirs is mainly about Asian women. They only employ Asian women to write for them, and that's, I mean, you know, it's hard enough having Asian performers or Asian female performers, but having Asian female writers and having a company dedicated just to that is brave. And they're definitely a company to watch, to look out for the future, because you know that's a voice that doesn't get told often enough, and all those companies are telling Asian stories, but they've all got their particular strand and their particular agenda, I think.
And it seems as though what binds them, you're suggesting, is purely the fact that they're catering for Asian voices.
Who is?
What it seems what you're suggesting is that what binds them,
Yes.
the common thread between all these companies, is purely the fact that they're catering for British Asian voices. Do you think?
Yeah.
Do you think it goes above that? I'm only probing for curiosity's sake.
That's cool. They're catering for that audience, because basically the whole purpose of a theatre company and an actor is to tell stories. That's what we're here for. We're storytellers, and they want to tell these Asian stories. To what audience? To any audience that wants to see them. You know, obviously they want to hold up a mirror to the Asian world and to the Asian society and say this is your life. We're showing it on stage, but also to educate and inform everybody else. You know, the white people that come into the theatre, the black people that come into the theatre. They all want to see slices of life different to theirs, be it Chekhov, Shakespeare, stuff about aliens, you know, whatever it is. They want a sense of let's learn about something else, and the Asian story is one of those stories.
When you describe your own artistic journey, which is really fascinating in itself, you've touched on it already, but possibly if there's anything more to tell, then this would be the place to do it. What was the reaction of your friends and family when you started working in theatre?
You know what's coming, don't you? Um, uh, they hit the roof. So my family hit the roof when I left college and joined the performing arts course, joined the circus. They hated it.
Is that your entire family, your siblings as well?
Well, okay, let's be specific. Just my dad mainly. You know, my mum was like, okay, you know, if it is okay for you, make you happy, that is okay. Brothers and sisters were like, listen, if you get £1 million out of a film, I want a Porsche out of it, all right? So they were fine with it. My mates, you know, some of them thought I was gay. I'm not. I'm actually married, so you're wrong.
To a man?
Yeah, to a woman. Thanks for that, Aviz. To a woman. Have it on the record. You know, people think you're weird. People think you're gay. People think you're odd. No one thinks you're going to make any success out of it, any money out of it, or a career out of it, until when you eventually do, it's, hey, Muzz, how's it going, man? So every time I go up north now, you know, all the idiots that used to take the piss when I was younger in Burnley, and I go, Muzz, how's it going, brother? You're right. Listen, bro, I saw you in that film, innit? Bradford Diets on Channel 4. You were sick, man. Like, what's going next, man? Are you doing any Bollywood films and that? And I'm just there going, you know what? I'm not going to forge you the time of the day. Because I don't actually say this to him. I just go, yeah, I'm a bit busy, actually. I've got to shoot off. Because, you know, they're the kind of people who just took the piss and didn't have any faith in me or any belief. And why they didn't have that? Fear. And it scares them. Change scares people, especially when you live up north. People are afraid of the unknown. So is the whole of humanity, but especially up north, especially in Lancashire and Yorkshire, we're shit scared of the unknown. So if someone says, "Oh, I'm leaving Burnley and I'm going to move to York," people are like, "Whoa, really? Why are you doing that?" Or Aberdeen or to London. People are scared of it, and people are scared to do it. So they don't. They treat it with a bit of hesitance, you know, a sort of, they're not quite sure how to take it. So that's how it started for me, really. My parents were a bit, my mates were like, you're a bit gay. One or two were like, yeah, man, you do it, good for you. But the other colleagues or people at school or college were just like, yeah, whatever, mate. And, you know, and more fool to them because, you know, it's up to you then to prove them wrong. And I didn't really set out to prove them wrong. I just so happened to be all right, and I've done all right. I've done okay, and it's, you know, and I don't go back and be like, ha, told you. I just go up, and you know, and if they want to congratulate me, great. If they want to berate me, fair, fine. You can do that as well.
Probing a little more then on, you know, your unique journey into theatre. Do you feel as though there's ever been any moments of particular difficulty, anything you could even describe to being traumatic for you in your journey into theatre, and how has being a theatre practitioner or otherwise, how just being Muzz helped you turn that into a positivity?
The worst parts, I guess, in my, so particular pitfalls that have really tested my strength of character. There's been isolated instances throughout my career, really. Drama school was that was 3 years of being tested, and wanting to throw in the towel. You know, for the reasons I said before, but also just for the reasons of just feeling out of place, feeling it wasn't my world. I didn't belong there. I belonged somewhere else, somewhere familiar. And, you know, as an actor, life is a constant struggle. It's never plain sailing. You're always looking for your next job. You know, people who've got 9 to 5, like, oh yeah, I'd love to be an actor and stuff. It's like, yeah, but at least you've got security there. You know when your money's coming in, you know that you can pay the mortgage or look after your kids or go on holiday or plan it ahead. Oh my God, you can plan ahead. We can't do that. Our planning ahead involves trying to plan ahead for work. We can't plan holidays. So that's a real, you know, it's been really hard. And for me, I guess one major, and it'll haunt me for the rest of my life, I'm still scarred, was getting a film. And I might as well put this on tape now, because it's nearly common knowledge. I auditioned for a film called 4 Lions. by Chris Morris. And that was a huge, when I auditioned for it, I knew who Chris Morris was. I knew how big the film was. And I was like, this is it. This is, if now that I've got, and I auditioned for it, and I got one of the parts in the film, one of the lead parts in the film. And I thought, this is it. This is going to propel my career, and hopefully I can be on a different playing field where I can pick and choose what work I do. And it was all going very well until sort of 2 weeks in. The movie business people came in, and they came to the rehearsal room, and they saw what was going on, and they didn't like it. And maybe my face didn't. Well, actually, I can't tell you what the reasons were, but maybe my face didn't fit. Maybe it was something else. I know what the reasons were, but I can't say it. But the reasons why they had to take me off, and I was totally fine with it, because there are things that I can't do as an actor physically, which they wanted me to do. And so Chris Morris, nicely said, we're gonna have to let you go. And he was really nice about it. He was a real gentleman about it, and he said, we've got to let you go. We've made a wrong decision. We've got to replace you with potentially somebody else, somebody who we think is going to fit into the mold that we have in our heads. And I was just distraught. I was just like winded, massively. Sorry, I shouldn't bang that because I've got a microphone there. Massively winded, and it was awful. I left Spotlight, which is sort of the actors directory. I left my agent for a little bit, went on sabbatical. I left acting, got a full-time job because it was, for me, it was not just a setback of losing the film, but it was a setback of losing that cash that I would have earned from the film that I'd already spent in my head. So yeah, that was, for me, that was horrible. And I left, and I did a social media job in Oxford for 6 months. Went out of the biz. Probably got a bit depressed, but not depressed as in clinically depressed, and got a certificate to prove it. But just as in, I just felt really down after that. And it took a phone call from Max Stafford Clark, who's the theatre director at Out of Joint, to say, we want you to do a play with us, with Celia Imrie, written by Robin Soames, to tour the country, and the play is about Asian people in Burnley. And I was just like, hello, perfect. And that got me out of the doldrums, and that's just one instance, and I think, by the time this comes out next year, you'll have read lots of stories in the media about actors taking their own lives, in the press, and it's a really hard profession, it's a really cruel profession. Actors get depressed a lot. I mean, I'm always depressed, really, but it's not. You have to not let it consume you. I mean, after each job, you get a slump, naturally, and that slump's horrible. I mean, sometimes I don't leave this flat. I'll just stay at home and I'll be trying to write emails to people to try and get work, ringing up my agent all the time, and you don't want to converse with people. You don't really want to go out to watch other plays because you just feel a bit like, A, I can't afford it, B, that should be me on stage. So in terms of setbacks, that's generally the biz, and that's one setback of many that I've had in my life. But yeah, so just to conclude, it's pretty grim.
And how have you turned that into a positivity? Or that's presuming it's possible.
It is, and it's through trying to remain optimistic. If I'm friends with you on Facebook, I'd never ever say anything pessimistic. It's always optimistic stuff. I'm not a gloomy person, So, I try not to be, because I've come from a gloomy, and I guess it's from my childhood. I came from such a crap, depressing area and suffered abuse from racist skinheads all my life, that I've had to have this exterior show of, hey, I'm good, I'm fine, no, it's good, it's fine, water for ducks back, I'm good. You have to have that. I've had to have that attitude, even though I was dying inside. I've always had to be optimistic and upbeat, because nobody wants to be somebody's friend who's just miserable. And you've got those friends, haven't you? I'm sure you've got those friends who's like, hey, how's it going? Yeah, I'm alright. Shit happens, life shit. How are you? Oh, really? Okay. My cat died last week. And you're like, I just want to go out. I mean, Wetherspoons. Let's just get drunk and be happy. So for me, I try and turn it into a positive by just trying to be positive, and just looking at the next thing, looking at the next project, and trying to nail it. And with acting, once you lose a job and you're not working, it just takes getting one job again to make you go, I'm great, I'm back in the room, here we go. And that's all it takes, really. So you're constantly yo-yoing between emotions, which is, probably bipolar. but generally, it's all good, I think.
You've got a really interesting background. You've already told me already that you associate your family heritage with Pakistan.
Yeah.
And you were born and raised in the northwest of England. How have those two experiences informed the Muzz Khan that we know today?
Say the last part of the question again.
How have those two experiences?
Okay, so the last 2/3. So go on. Okay, just the whole question.
Okay, you've got family heritage in Pakistan.
Yes.
And you were born and raised in Britain.
Yes.
So those two cultural inputs. How have those two cultural inputs informed you who you are today?
Coming from a Pakistani background, that's just what I was born with. So I was born with this colour. And that really doesn't... I don't feel that Pakistan hasn't directly informed me of who I am as a person. I don't think, because I've only been there once. I was a kid. I can't remember anything about it, apart from photographic evidence of me being on a camel, looking shit scared. I was 3, I think, or 4. So I've not been to Pakistan since. So as a country in itself, as an entity, don't know anything about it apart from what I hear on the news, which is not very good. So all I've got to refer to really is just being born here, and people and the experience of being British Pakistanis. People going, "You're a Paki, you're a brown fucker. Hello, let's have you audition for a play. What part are you going to play? Are you going to play an Asian? You're going to play somebody who talks like this all the time, but it's okay because it's not a problem. This is how you people speak." Okay, I speak with an actual accent. I'm from the north of England, but yes, I know. But for this part, you have to be like a Pakistani person. I am Pakistani, that's what I am. Yes, we know that. But for this part, you have... And I'm just like... So people have said who I am in terms of where I'm from in South Asia. I don't feel Pakistani. I've always felt British, You'd call me a coconut if you were a fellow Asian person, which is brown on the outside, white on the inside. I don't really do many Asian things apart from eat the food, maybe listen to some of the music and hang about with people with the same colour skin. I don't really speak the lingo much. I speak broken Punjabi. So, so in terms of that, it's hard to... I can't really say they both affect me directly, being British and Pakistani. Being British definitely does, but I think the heritage impacts me, but it's only impacted me in the sense that people have said who I am, without me actually saying, this is who I am. They've told me, be it in a repulsive way or in a theatrical way. Too many jazz hands, I've got to stop this, sorry.
What audiences then do you hope... I mean, you can tell the questions are flipping between your work and the person you are. So going back to your work now, what audiences do you hope to reach with your work?
Everyone. I think as any theatre practitioner or any performer will say, they want to reach everyone, Just because I've got a brown skin and I'm Asian doesn't mean I want to just appeal to brown people. I want to appeal to everyone, because I sort of hope that my work or the stories that I'm telling, that we're telling, are appealing to everyone. Everyone wants to learn about everything else, about everyone else. So yeah, I'll keep that one short and sweet. I want to appeal to everyone with the work that I do.
And how's the work that you've done so far? I'll rephrase that. Which audiences have you attracted in your work so far?
Loads. So the stuff with Tamasha and Tara Arts has been... There've been obviously Asian plays, but they've been, they attract white audiences. So that's to do with marketing more than anything else. So a lot of the plays that I've performed in have had mainly a white audience with a smattering of Asian and a hint of black and a hint of whatever else, in terms of races and colours and creeds. But that's annoying because you sort of the point of telling specific stories about Asian diasporas is to encourage people from the Asian community to come and watch the plays, because ultimately you're reflecting their lives and you're trying to tell their stories, so you want their stories to be heard by the people you're telling them to. But it's generally white audiences, and that's just the culture of theatre. Theatre itself is, in this country, and I guess maybe throughout the world, no, that's a lie, mainly in this country or in the States, it'll be a white audience. And I think marketeers and marketing people are trying to address that and trying to get more, ethnic minority people into the theatre, and that's good. But for the ethnic minorities, we feel we don't belong there, and I feel I belong there because I'm in the mix of it. But if I speak to my mates, they're like, "Oh, but why do you want to go to the theatre, man? Because it's full of white people in it, or it's a bit posh in it, or it's a bit like, oh, it's 35 quid a ticket in it. We can go to the cinema, we can watch something for 10 quid, or we can watch it on our DVDs for free, illegally." So people have their different ways of consuming entertainment, and ultimately, if it's free, they'll have it because everyone loves a freebie. But generally, it's the fact that people don't belong, and theatre will always feel like an elitist entertainment medium. Film isn't. Film has never been that elitist. It's because it's shoved into your living room, and that is deemed more accessible because it is. But something that involves man going out of man's flat into somebody else's domain to watch entertainment, that is a big journey to take. And I think a lot of ethnic minority communities aren't willing or able to make that leap, because that's quite a journey. If I'm Asian and I'm black and I've got my comedy on my TV or my laptop, why would I want to go anywhere else? If I've got music on my hi-fi, why would I want to go? I've got it around me. So, it's about accessibility, and I think we should make things more accessible to those people. And if we can't, then the next best thing is to go and do it in their houses. Do you know what I mean?
How's the work that you've done so far? How do you feel that's reflected in the lives of everyday people?
And again?
The work you've done so far?
Yeah.
How do you feel that's reflected the lives of everyday people?
How it reflects them? Because it's so the work. So that's mainly, I guess, a writer's answer or question, because they're the people who write the stories. It reflects them because so with Snookered, it was a play about 5 Asian guys in the pub getting pissed. That was a unique story that reflects what most Asian guys, most Muslim Pakistani men do in this country that we've never seen before. And it happens week in, week out, but has anyone put that on stage yet? No. So that's one reflection. Trying to think of some more. Off the top of my head with the camera rolling. God, there's so much. Out of Joint then, so Max Devil Clark, the play that I did for him, that was about Asian and white people in Burnley or in Lancashire. Again, it reflected them because it was verbatim. So they were actual accounts from real people. So how real can you get, and how reflective can you get than that? Verbatim theatre is reflection, by definition. And so it does. You'd have to take my word for it. It is reflective, and you only have to watch a play to recognise the characters. If you recognise a character in a play, and if you go, "Oh man, I know that person. That kind of person lives on my street," or "That's my next door neighbour. Oh my God, I see traits in that in my girlfriend." That's when you know it reflects real life, because it's all about recognition and resonance. And if it resonates with you, and if you recognise something in a play or in a story or in a character, that's reflection.
Some people feel, people in rural areas that have been spoken to, they feel more disconnected to theatre, I suppose, because most theatre makers live in urban environments.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I can totally feel how people feel disconnected. But what are the reasons to give? Why are they disconnected?
They're not giving any reasons.
Okay.
They're just saying that they feel they don't feel connected to theatre.
I can understand why, because it's especially in the West End. You know,
Oh,
I
excuse
could.
me, there are some reasons.
Oh, good.
Because it didn't reflect their lives,
Yeah.
so they didn't go to the performances. And who are these guys? They're not connected with us.
Cool. Okay, so right. So the first. Okay, so first is the stories don't reflect us. If you're talking about Noel Coward, right, and hay fever and private lives and stuff, then no, it doesn't reflect you. It probably reflects a golden age of England that you weren't even alive in. Then it probably doesn't. But a lot of it does. And coming from somebody who's, I mean, you know, I'm not privileged. Do you know what I mean? I didn't, you know, when people talk about reflection and when people talk about it doesn't connect to me, it's because generally it's about elitism and it's about not feeling that it relates to them because it's of a different world. So generally, I think the perception is you're talking about places like the National Theatre or the West End performed by white actors charging 50 quid a ticket. If I'm an Asian person from Burnley, that completely doesn't relate to me. It doesn't reflect me. I'm not going to go. Unless Shah Rukh Khan is in it, then I'm going to go. But otherwise, no. So I get that because that is, I mean, even I feel a bit disconnected from that. But for the plays that are coming into Leicester Curve, to Manchester's Contact, to Bradford's Alhambra, to the West Yorkshire Playhouse in Leeds, to Birmingham Rep, there's such a big community there and of Asian people, of black people, that the stories that are being shown in those theatres are reflective of their communities because they're written by the people who live there and are of their ethnicity. So I disagree with that because I think it's changing more and more. You know, it's getting more and more accessible. Theatre is getting more and more accessible because people, even the theatres in the West End in London, are realising that they are being elitist and they can't charge so much for prices and they've got to change the stories. It can't just all be all highbrow stuff. It's got to be stuff that's about real life. So the whole of theatre is changing and it is on a mission to make itself more accessible for the greater good, because ultimately theatre is about being a force for good or for change. And I think, you know, for people who still have that belief in their system, I promise you it's changing and we're changing it as we speak.
Coming back to the South Asian experience again, that's changed a lot, even in our time, in your time.
Yeah.
It's evolved quite a bit from when you were younger to the way things are today. And partly that's probably because you've moved out of Burnley as well and you've seen the South Asian experience in London. How do you feel your work has changed in accordance with that? How do you feel the work of British South Asian theatre or your work in British South Asian theatre has changed, you know, parallel to that change in the community?
So I'll just talk from my experience. I guess since, you know, the late 90s to early 90s to now 2013, I've seen changes in scripts that I've read. So I, you know, audition for loads of plays week in, month in, month out. I want to say week in, week out because I need a better agent for that. I'm joking. No, I'm not. It's, you know, the scripts that I read are changing because of the stories that I'm hearing and reading. You know, and the stories that excite me now are stories that I haven't heard before, you know. So when I first started, you know, it was kebab shop owners, it was terrorists, especially for TV and film. Oh God, the amount of scripts that I read for wannabe terrorists and stuff, I'm just like, oh, shoot me in the head now, please. Or ultimately, give me a backpack with a bomb in so I kill myself. That'd be more apt, wouldn't it? So, you know, that was quite annoying. And it changed because people got sick of it, you know, because people are getting bored of that whole terrorism thing now. And it's now, you know, stories are changing, EastEnders is changing, you know, soaps are changing with the way they're, even Neighbours, for heaven's sake, they've now got an Asian family in, which is great, but it's, the stories are, you know, I'm rambling a bit, so I'm going to rewind. I'm going to start again, sorry. Okay, so I started off terrorists, corner shop owners, and rude boys, right? That's now changed to my characters being everyday guys. You know, just some guy who wants to open a chicken shop in Bradford and can't because he gets messed up in playing pool, getting pissed, and drugs. The stories are getting more real. They're getting more pertinent to what it's like to be a modern Asian in 2013, which is good. But if you compare it to where Tara Arts were 30 years ago, or where Tamasha were 20 years ago, they've come on leaps and bounds since then as well. We're changing our focus a lot with the stories we have to tell. They're becoming more and more nuanced and finely tuned. And I think that's good. And I think the writers now are getting more aware of, they're getting bored of, oh no, not another terrorist play again, because they don't want to write about that. They want to write about other things. And I think writers now becoming more brave, and instead of pandering to the execs, they're thinking, no, I don't want to write a story about terrorists because that's not true. Let me write a story about this. This is what's happening in Bradford right now. This is what's happening in Southall right now. Let's put it on. And people are now saying, yeah, okay, let's do it. People are taking risks, which is good.
So there seems to be a culture of change at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Given that change, where do you think we're at today? If it's pinpointable, where do you think the state of theatre, British South Asian and theatre generally, where do you think that is today?
Oh God, it varies. I think some theatre companies are nailing it. I think some theatre companies aren't. I really think Tamasha are getting back to greatness again. You know, they're taking risks, and that's good. And so where we're at today, we're telling more stories that are about now. We're telling more stories that are about Asian people today. You know, where we're cutting away the crap. We're being more braver with our writing. You know, if there's a story about grooming, because we all know about grooming happening in Black Bunny and Rochdale or whatever, we're now writing about that. Where before we wouldn't, you know. If there's stories about incest in a Muslim family or in a Hindu family, we're now writing about that. Whereas before we'd be too shit scared to do it. One case in point is Gurpreet Kaur Bhatti. You know, she wrote two plays, Beshti and Behud. Now Beshti went mainstream news because she wrote about the Sikh community, and people didn't like that because she just wrote some things that were warts and all. So do you know what I mean? So the writers are taking risks, and that's where we're at today. We're at the stage where we're telling the stories that we want to tell, that the Asian community doesn't want us to tell, but we're telling them anyway because they need to be told. And I think that's really exciting for us. It's dangerous, but then again, all theatre is dangerous. All exciting theatre is dangerous, and that's where we're at right now. We're now producing exciting theatre that is dangerous to our community, and it's exposing to our community. But we've got to tell it because that's our life.
Do you feel the stories and the aesthetics of contemporary British South Asian theatre, do you think these stories and these aesthetics reflect accurately the British South Asian communities across England?
Well, I don't know all of them, you know, because I don't read everything that's out there. You know, the bulk of them do, you know, and they have to, because that's where writers dream up their stuff. It's generally based on stuff they know. But you know, I think any writer will say to you, they always get told, write about what you know. And then after that, they sprinkle some magic on top and a bit of artistic license and a bit of drama. So the bulk of what you hear, of what you see or read in Asian theatre writing is true. You know, obviously there's a few dramatic twists and stuff, but that's for dramatic effect, and we're allowed to do that because it's theatre. But yeah, I think a lot of what you're reading now, and a lot of play texts that are coming out, are based in truth, for sure.
Thank you for such an honest and enlightening chat. Last question. Would you like to end this interview by telling us about any particular works of yours that hold the most importance to you to date?
Works that I've done or that I read or...
No, that you've been in. Some your work that hold the most importance for you so far.
The thing I'm probably most... There's two things actually that I'm... two theatre plays I'm most proud of. And I've probably banged on about throughout most of this interview. Sorry. Time to wake up. I'm nearly finished. Is Tamasha's Snookered, where I was the main protagonist, which is the first time from an actor's point of view, it was my first time with Tamasha. It was my first time at the Bush Theatre, and I was the lead. And that for me was marvellous. So that was one reason. But the play itself was explosive. It's the kind of play that you sort of read and you go, I want to be in that because it's phenomenal. And it packs the punch. And, how many Asian theatre plays, get ready to press the beep thing, how many theatre plays contains 97 versions of the word cunt and about 37 versions of the word fuck? It was quite heavily expleted. Not that made it a great play, but that it just made it braver, and if Mark Ravenhill can do it, and if Jez Butterworth can do it at the Royal Court, then so can Ishidin from Middlesbrough. Do you know what I mean? So it was a good play, and it was a good showcase for me, and it was good for me to be with Tamasha and the Bush. And I used to work at the Bush when I was at drama school. I was a front of house supervisor, and I thought I'd love to be here one day, and then I was. So that was, come full circle. That was good, and I'm proud of that because and everyone who I've ever met since then said, wasn't Snookered amazing? We loved it. What a real breath of fresh air. And if you guys are watching this very boring interview with me and you want to wake up and read something exciting, read Snookered because it's a pretty awesome play. And the other highlight for me would be Mixed Up North. For me, that was a massive, is it watershed moment? Is that the word? Or turning point moment in my career where I was bumbling along as an actor, and then 2009, which is when the play came out, I read the script, I auditioned for Max Stafford Clark. Here's a really good story for you. The audition for Max Stafford Clark for Out of Joint, for this play, Mixed Up North, was in Out of Joint's office. It was in Max's office, which is tiny, really small, like a box room, right? And for the audition, I did the entire audition standing behind Max Stafford Clark and reading over his shoulder the script. So his head's there, he's looking down going, okay Muzz, I'd like you to read the script please if you would. And I'm there saying it over his shoulder. Craziest audition ever. He didn't even see my face. He didn't see the emotion that I was doing in my face and how beautiful or ugly I was. Careful, steady. And that was it, and that turned out to be one of the best plays I've done because it was about Burnley, because it was verbatim, because it toured the country. It was banned in Burnley, by the way, because the council thought it was too close to the bone and they hated it, and there's other reasons which I won't go into because it's too political. But they were the two big career highlights because they gave me confidence in my acting abilities. They told a story that I really wanted someone to tell and I wanted to share with people. And there were two companies that I respected throughout my life. Tamasha was a dream come true and Out of Joint was a dream come true. And the fact that they saw some talent in this washed out Asian northern boy was amazing. So if I could pinpoint any highlight of my career, it would be Snookered with Tamasha and Mixed Up North with Out of Joint. And if you're watching this, Tamasha and Out of Joint, thanks for this because I appreciate it. And even I know I'm now cleaning toilets in Aldi. That's what I'm doing these days, but it's fine. They were my career highlights a few years ago.
I'm sure there'll be many more to come. All the best. Thanks a lot, Muzz. It's been wicked talking to you.
Thank you, and sorry for the dodgy humour. I had to line it somehow.
No problem. See you later.
Bye bye.